Hey everyone, it's been a long time since I've done what's on my workbench. There's just been a lot going on in my life between moving to a new house, and my wife has had a lot of health issues and whatnot. Just really haven't had the motivation to come down to the old workshop, which is actually, my workshop's really nice now. It's before I used to have a separate workshop and a office, and now it's all combined into one. I have my computer's all set up down here, and then I have my workbench all set up, so it's pretty nice. It's nice and cozy and everything. So what's on the workbench this week is a project that's been sitting a little while, unfortunately. This is sent to me to do a couple of things. Number one is to install the McWill LCD mod. In addition, adding actually using the VGA out. The person who sent this in actually was really cool that he did a beautiful job milling out the case and installing these two connectors. And this one here is the VGA, but you see over here, this one says controller. And what we're planning on doing is using an Atari Jaguar controller for the plug-in to Lynx. So he got a brand new Jaguar controller, and it's still in the box. I've never actually seen one of these in the box before. So what I have to do is I'm going to actually hack in the Jaguar controller into the Lynx. So the cool thing is the Lynx and the Jaguar have almost identical styling, so I think it's going to look really cool because we're going to be able to stand up the Lynx basically when you plug it into a monitor, the VGA monitor, and plug in the controller and just play it on a proper screen. Well, not the McWill screen is actually fantastic. You'll see that once it's done. So first things first, though. This is great. He sent it to me open, which is awesome because I didn't have to open it up. I can't even machine this well. He did such an amazing job. I might outsource to him in the future for some of the plastic machining work. He did a beautiful job at it. And but the first thing you have to do though is basically tune up the Lynx, because you don't want to install a McWill mod onto a you don't want to install a McWill onto a Lynx that you've haven't replaced the capacitors. So first things up, we have quite a few things to go through. We're gonna have this is all. It looks like he got most of these from Console 5, which is a great place. I've gotten them for many times before. Is a capacitor set. And then we also got we got a new Zener diode, new MOSFET IC, two 3906s transistors, and a power jack. Which I know the power jack gets really hokey. Which is this guy right here gets really hokey on all these old systems. That coaxial style plug kind of sucks. It's a 3.5mm coaxial, and there's a metal pin in there that just bends out of place over time and just doesn't last very long. What else is in the bag of goodies? And a new 3.3 volt regulator for the McWill mod. So Lynx isn't too bad in terms of replacing capacitors. You got these guys here, 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 and these two guys here. You got the power jacks that come off, and it looks like I'll have to see which where the power regulator is at. I'm not exactly sure. It's probably pretty close to the jack, or where the positive comes in on the power supply. It's probably, let's see, Zeners. For those of you who are not electronics gurus, a Zener diode is usually a diode. Oh, I'm all out of focus again. A regular diode just resists the flow of current in one direction and allows it to flow in the other. Zeners are a little bit different, as they act like a regular diode one direction, but in the opposite direction they have a preset voltage so if the voltage goes above that level, it'll actually start flowing backwards through the circuit. So they use them as voltage regulators. That's what you use Zeners for. And here's a nice 3.3 volt regulator, which is good size. So where you hide, there it is. It's not too hard to find. It's right there. So looks like I've got some good solder work ahead of me. And in the meantime, out of the blue, I got another order for a Atari 5200 controller, which I didn't expect. And I still have stuff under my workbench for the PlayStation Portable I need to put back together again. I got recased, and that one's just been not very fun to do. Game Boy screen replacement, and that one I actually ordered a new voltage regulator for, and it never arrived, so I had to order another one, so that should be arriving shortly, so I can get that off my workbench. And then after that, I have two Game Gears that I'm going to have a audio video out. So I got a lot on my bench going on. That of course goes along with capacitor replacements too. So a lot of work coming up. So these videos should probably be coming out more often, because I'm going to be having a fun old time replacing, repairing a bunch of systems. I had backlog. I've had some, just a moment of honesty here, I've had some mental health care problems myself. This has been a lot going on, and I got that going on. So I'm not crazy. It's just when you're have a lot going on in your life and you have a genetic predisposition to it, it can be a little bit difficult. And doing stuff like this actually helps me relax a bit. This customer, I believe, asked me to take off this rear RF shield, because you don't really need it, especially when you have the new everything nowadays is all digital anyway for radio. And that was the problem with the old radio stations, is you pick it up on the AM or FM, but with all the and you pick it up in TVs especially, because it's more or less broadcast frequency, but everything is digital, so you're never going to see it anymore. So I'm just trying to get this copper shield off. There's a lot of copper, actually. The Lynx, as you can tell, this is the Lynx II. Lynx 1 was a bigger beast. This is the Lynx II. Lynx 2 is quite an elegant piece of electronics. And you can see it's not, everything is on a single board, and they use flex cables for the all the joypad controls. So it does not look old. It doesn't look old in any way. I mean, just have some big caps on here, but even modern systems have good sized caps. And I mean, it's actually very thin. You can see it's a very thin system. The highest components are these big filter caps they have going on there. So you would never expect this to be 30-plus-year-old design. Quite elegant, actually. I've worked with a lot of different systems, and all of them, the Lynx has always been the most impressive to me in terms of just how far ahead of its time it really was. I need more heat. If you ever go soldering, always get an adjustable heat soldering iron, because sometimes you just need a little more heat. Yeah. But with my own issues, I was on medication, and I got off medication, and it's just, I know, pretty heavy stuff for a silly workbench video. And getting off the medication was kind of weird, because I was on an antidepressant, an SSRI, and the problem I ran into was I just didn't feel anything, which is why I'm like not happy, not sad. It was very, very strange, actually. It was like a quasi depression, but you're so numb to everything, you don't even notice you're depressed. Not feel anything. It was very strange. It's the main reason I really wasn't doing anything down here in the workshop. It's like I just didn't care. I went for like a couple months of just not doing any kind of electronics work at all. So stuff backed up a little bit. Sorry to everyone who had to suffer with me in terms of not getting stuff off the shelf. Sucks. But everyone's been great, very patient with me, because it's just this is just a hobby of mine. I tell everyone, it's like, this is just a hobby. I mean, if this all went away tomorrow, I mean, it would be a little depressing, but not like life shattering for me, because I work as an engineer, so I make a good coin doing that. Hey kids, if you ever want to make a lot of money, go into electronics, because there's just not a lot of people in it. I hate getting the shields off this thing. It sucks, actually. I've done it before. I've even done it on my own before. I've got 2 Lynxes. Lynxes. Love the Lynx. It's my first paycheck. My very first paycheck, I bought Rygar for the Lynx. I think I was 17 years old at the time. That's the first thing I spent money on, was an Atari Lynx game. So it's got a really special place in my heart for the system. It's just it's a fantastic portable. And I knew, even back in the day, I mean, it was just so far ahead of the curve in terms of quality and features, and a lot of the games are actually really fun too. It's probably one of the reasons I got in electronics in the first place, is just computers and video games. I grew up with the computer we had a Atari. Again, we were an Atari family. We had an Atari 800 XL. It was our first computer. I mean, it was our only computer for many years. I think we had a Tandy after that one. But the 800 XL, lots of awesome games on the 800 XL, and you get to learn. Remember back, I would sit. Back in the day, you could actually, I think it was an Antic or something like that, or Byte. I can't remember the name of the magazine. Maybe it was Antic. They would actually have printed out in paper form programs, and I remember games in particular. And I remember you had to read out these things called poke statements, where you'd poke into memory. If in assembly language, it'd be something like you're just writing to a location. Oh, my soldering iron's jammed. This is must-see viewing. Somebody cleaning out their soldering iron. Their solder sucker. Oh, do you have a big blob of solder stuck in there? Oh dear. Anyway, so I remember one of my childhood members is sitting there. I would read the poke statements to my brother, and you go through hundreds of lines of these poke statements. And I think, what did we do? I think it was Empire Strikes Back, if I remember correctly. It was one of the games we typed out with the AT-ATs walking, and you were flying the snow speeder, trying to take them out. But yeah, it used to be you'd be able to literally type in a game. For you kids out there, you get to learn all about all the old stuff we had to do. And we liked it. Actually, it sucked. Having to type in line by line. But you learned a bit about programming, though. My older brother did all that, though. He actually went into much more computer than I did. I'm more of a hardware guy myself. So, try to keep this as exciting as possible, I guess. Let's see, in other news, let's see, I actually bought a I actually bought a digital SLR. I've never owned one before. It's an old one. It's an old Rebel XT. But I've just had a blast learning how to take photos with an SLR. Which is cool because you can swap off the lenses and give you a lot different effects. And of course, the sensor is a whole lot bigger than your standard compact camera. So I've been playing with that. It's been really fun. I mean, it's only an 8 megapixel camera. However, you take some really neat shots sometimes. And the beauty is, if I ever want to upgrade to a newer camera, I can actually just take the lenses and slap them on another Canon. It's a Canon camera, so I didn't go with any of the mirrorless or anything like that yet. Which tend to get a little expensive with these interchangeable mirrorless. And the mirrorless have the big advantage of video, but I really don't care all that much because you can see the fabulous quality of the video I'm taking right now. So this doesn't necessarily need to be in 60 frames a second 4K to watch some guy babble for an hour while desoldering. It's not must-see TV, that's for sure. Oh, I forget how to take this part out. I think the whole one comes off, but I don't really want to take that off. Well, for now, I don't think it comes off neatly. If I remember correctly, you have to actually cut it here and here to actually fit it off. Let's see. Well, no guts, no glory, I guess. It's just a piece of copper-backed plastic, anyway. You always forget on this thing where it goes. I don't really feel like taking that one off. Yeah, see, if you look at the back, it's a piece of plastic with a thin layer of copper on the other side. Oh, I'm wasting a lot of time on this one. I'm just always marvel. I love to ask people when I get people want service or a new controller or something like that, how they found out about me. And apparently, I think I'm one of the few or only person who is offering a completely modern Atari 5200 controller. So I know I come way up there when it comes on the Google, when you search Google, very high up on the page. And I have a video online on YouTube as well demonstrating a couple controllers I made as well. So I'll mess with that later. So the Lynx is a little weird. Let's see, is it through holes? Or not through holes? Oh, it is through holes. Through hole there. Through hole there. Yeah, they are through holes. So I'll go through and take them out. So this, the Game Gear kind of sucks because everything's kind of like a weird surface mount deal going on. The Lynx is just actually they go all the way through the board, so it makes it a lot easier. They actually drilled more holes in the board. It costs more money to. Yeah, when you ever get a circuit board made up, you have to pay per hole you drill in the board. So the more holes they get drilled and filled or plated, the more it costs. Let's think here. You know, a pair of scissors would be nice. So yeah. So if you ever get into fixing game consoles, this is the excitement you get. going through and reverse engineering this stuff. I did have a unique one a while back. I actually put an S video out on a ColecoVision, which is the first time I've ever done that. And because I have a Coleco Atom, and Atom already has a composite out built into it, but the ColecoVision itself did not. So I had to go through and create this whole summing board with a video buffer chip on there, and that was actually kind of a more challenging because the documentation kind of sucked actually, so I had to figure it out a lot myself. Just like the Atari Jaguar 5200 controller, I had to figure that all by myself. So in case you ever wonder why I never have a schematic online for the 5200 controller, is because, well, it's made me money. I've sold like 15 of those things so far, like $80 a pop. So what started as just a little, my brother bought a 5200, and the controllers are just awful on it. So I went through and figured out how to convert a Jaguar controller into a 5200 controller without using potentiometers. So figure that out and thinking, I wonder if anyone else wants this thing. And apparently it's turned out to be by far my most popular item. 35 volt, 100 microfarad. 100 microfarad, what is it, the same one? Hope not, because it's too different. 470, that's right. Alright. We're going to dive right in soon. Hopefully my iron's not too hot. So, this is really some must-see TV, isn't it? Oops. Shoot. They put some long-ass leads on these suckers, didn't they? One thing you always want to be careful about working on these old systems is you don't want to have your iron turned up too high, because what'll happen is you'll burn the trace, and the pad on the back will come up off, they'll delaminate from the board, and you will be unhappy because it makes it much more difficult to repair. Doing that, you'll end up with you might have to come back a little bit and use a little sandpaper to expose a trace, and it happens, but if you can avoid it, that'd be great. Yeah, you know, it sucks where I work now. I really can't talk about what I do anymore, because it's stuff for military use, and some of it's military, most of it's civilian, but some of it's military, so you really can't talk about much about what you do anymore. It's a shame, because it's really cool stuff. Oh well. It doesn't matter, no one ever understood I did anyway. Get back here, you smarmy little bugger. I think I'm just going to do a couple more minutes of this. My hands are getting tired. Fighting that board kind of sucked. I just can't. I don't have my mojo tonight in terms of desoldering. It gets a little old. Luckily, my eyes are still holding out. They haven't given up yet. Oh, you know what store I really miss? Radio Shack. I remember you were able to go out, pay way too much for electronic components, but they had them. You can actually, I mean, if you needed something, you actually could go out and pick it up. Now I gotta order everything off eBay or Amazon or DigiKey or something like that. And I mean, the prices are great, but man, sometimes okay, I need a 470 microfarad cap. Well, great. You gotta wait 2 weeks. I did go through and I bought a big old set of capacitors and a big variety set of resistors. So I got a nice section now. Oh, see, the problem is there's a lot of copper here, and I don't want to damage this trace right now. Well, I think I'm going to call it quits tonight because my eyes are getting googly. It's about 11 o'clock after. Oh, man, it's 12 at night right now. So, I'm going to call it quits for tonight. And I'm going to keep on desoldering all these caps one by one. The biggest ones are the hardest because there's the most mass, and then everything gets smaller after that. And then next hardest part's this guy here, and then I have to get the microscope out and pull up some of the transistors. So, well, that'll be for next night. So, hopefully you all enjoyed watching, and hope you learned something today about me and about electronics and fun stuff like that. So, thanks for watching.